Taylor Swift's battle for music ownership became one of the most talked about and controversial stories in the music industry. The struggle sparked widespread conversation about artist rights, corporate control, and the power of the artist's voice in an industry often dominated by record labels and big business. What many didn't know at the time was that behind Taylor's personal fight was a much larger issue for artists everywhere: the question of who truly owns an artist's work. In 2019, Braun, a major music mogul, acquired Big Machine Records, the label that had signed Taylor Swift early in her career. In this deal, Braun not only gained control of Big Machine's entire catalog, but also the rights to Taylor's first 6 albums, her life's work up until that point. The catch: Taylor was never given the opportunity to buy the rights to her own music. This sale would give Braun the power to make money off her early albums, license them, and even control how they were used in the future, without Taylor's consent. The acquisition left Taylor devastated. She revealed on social media that she was not only blindsided by the deal but also deeply hurt by Braun's role in the situation. She labeled him as "my worst enemy" and expressed her dismay at how her work was taken from her. But rather than staying silent, Taylor Swift decided to take matters into her own hands in a way that would make history. After losing control of her original masters, Taylor Swift came up with a brilliant and incredibly bold plan to fight back. She decided to re-record her first 6 albums and release them as Taylor's versions. This would give her the ability to reclaim ownership of her music, bypassing the need to depend on Big Machine and Braun. By re-recording the songs, she would regain control over the masters and ensure that any use of her old tracks would benefit her, not the people who owned them. In 2021, she officially launched this effort with Fearless, Taylor's version, a re-recording of her 2008 album followed by Red, Taylor's version, in late 2021. Swift's fans, Swifties, immediately got behind her, showing overwhelming support for the re-recordings and streaming the new versions to make them just as successful, if not more so, than the originals. The impact of Taylor's decision was profound, not just for her career but for the entire music industry. By choosing to re-record her albums, Taylor did something that had never been done before on such a large scale. She showed that artists could reclaim their work and retain control over how it was used, thus setting a new precedent for ownership in the music industry. Her re-recordings became more than just an act of reclaiming her past. They became a symbol of resistance against an outdated and exploitative system that has historically placed immense power in the hands of record labels, executives, and business moguls. Beyond the personal battle, the re-recordings also gave Taylor an opportunity to show the world just how much her artistry had evolved. The new versions of her classic songs had subtle but significant differences. Taylor had grown as a songwriter and performer, and these updated versions reflected that. Her mature voice and deeper understanding of the music-making process elevated these tracks, adding a new layer of depth to songs that fans had loved for years. Taylor's re-recordings and her fight for ownership have sparked a broader conversation about the rights of artists. For years, the music industry was dominated by major labels that controlled the distribution of music and held the power to dictate the terms of contracts. Artists were often locked into deals that left them with little to no control over their own creations. Taylor's battle with Braun and Big Machine shed light on the disproportionate power that record labels held over their artists' work and the often exploitative nature of these contracts. Her victory became a rallying cry for other artists who felt powerless in their own careers. Many musicians, particularly younger ones, saw Taylor's decision to re-record her albums as an empowering move. It was proof that there was a way to fight back against an unjust system, even if that meant starting from scratch. Taylor showed that artists could take ownership of their music, and she inspired others to consider doing the same. None of this would have been possible without the passionate support of Swifties. Fans have been at the forefront of this movement, rallying behind Taylor and supporting her re-recordings in droves. They streamed her new albums on repeat, bought merchandise, and made Taylor's versions chart-topping successes, ensuring that her effort to reclaim ownership was seen as a monumental achievement. It became clear that Taylor Swift wasn't just fighting for herself. She was fighting for artists everywhere, advocating for a future where musicians could control their legacy and own their creative works. Taylor's fight raises the question of whether artists should always control their own work. Historically, record labels have often held the power, but with Taylor's efforts in reclaiming her masters, More and more artists are considering what it means to have control over their careers. As the industry continues to evolve, it's becoming increasingly clear that artists deserve to have ownership of their creations, just as they deserve fair compensation for the work they put into their art. What do you think? Should artists always control their masters? Should musicians be able to retain ownership over their own work? Or should record labels continue to control it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to Starscope for more exclusive celebrity deep dives. Like and share if you support artists owning their music.